Hello everybody, welcome to Ross IELTS Academy's special edition of our speaking game. I'm Samson Sees and she is
Mehnush Hafi from Ross IELTS Academy.
Also, we're here today, two instructors challenging each other on questions on part 3. Now this is our second video of asking each other questions on part 3, so if you haven't seen this type of video, you can pause and go back to the previous ones and actually find out what we're doing here.
Yes, because there are a lot of tips you need to learn in part 1 and 2 and just get a general idea on what the game is all about, and then we can start with the second video on part 3 questions.
Absolutely. And just before we get started, guys, like, subscribe and tell your friends about us, because we've got some pretty useful tips for anyone who wants to take on the challenge of going through this.
Yeah, and Samson, they may even want to visit our website because we have some very useful courses for you, our bronze, silver and VIP courses. They're going to just prepare you for your IELTS exam in reading, listening, writing, speaking, all the different skills. So that would be just great.
Definitely, you really do want to check those ones out. Anyway, do you have any tips to tell our friends?
Yes, a brief explanation on part 3, because you should know how this part works in the real IELTS exam. And then we can start with the fun game we have today.
The fun side of things.
Yes.
Okay.
So you should just know that part 3 of IELTS speaking is going to last between 4 to 5 minutes. It's not that long, but you should just remember to give longer answers to the questions compared to part 1.
No, she's right, because part 1 is more like a warm-up. We've said this before, and you're mostly challenged on your command of English and the 4 criteria, mostly in part 2 and part 3. That's where you're really put on the hot spot there.
Yes, you can be using more boosters, more grammatical structures, a range of vocabulary in this part, because you should give longer answers. Explain about your answer. Don't just mention things. Explain a little. Give reasons,
get
give
involved.
results.
Just get involved with the topic. The more you do that, the more you could just use the knowledge of the English language that you have.
Be confident. You should have eye contact with the examiner and speak naturally.
Speak naturally. Okay. Shall we
yes. Do you want to go first?
I'm going to go first this time.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, just this time.
I mean, well,
I'm always the first one, so
it's ladies first. I try to be a gentleman.
this time Samson will be first.
I'm excited. Okay, let's go. Okay.
Sure.
I'm warmed up. All right. The lid is open. Now I'm okay.
He picks a card randomly.
There's a lot of envelopes in here today. Oh, I got one. Okay. It's health. Health.
Would you like to skip this topic?
No, she's going to trap me. I'm not going to fall
because
for that
if
one.
he skips a topic, then I can ask him a very personal question.
That's the game. And I'm not going to skip it. So
Okay.
you go ahead and ask me questions about health.
We have 4 questions here for you, Samson.
Okay.
So we start with the first question. How can people improve their health?
Well, that's something that's, I think, a question meant for a lot of specialists. But if I'm going to think about how people around us can improve their health, I believe they could do a lot more exercise and watch what they eat, because everything we eat nowadays is not necessarily healthy. It's very important to keep track of what kind of vitamins and nutrients we are consuming. So I believe it's very important for everyone to look at these things. Have a good time of, just set your timetable. I think it's a very good idea if people set their timetable of how they sleep. Sleep is very important. They say you should get 6 to 8 hours sleep a night. That goes for adults. But as far as food is concerned, I would say definitely people should have set meals and watch the timing of their meals and do some exercise.
Okay, great. Do elderly people do much exercise in your country?
Well, that's a very challenging question in my opinion, because I don't really look at what old people are doing these days. Elderly people, if I want to speak more formally and politely. I believe they do some exercise when they retire. So I'll give an example, like my father-in-law. He does some exercise. He gets up and walks for about 5 minutes. He goes for a little walk. But then he sits down and he says, I've done my exercise. I strongly think that he could do a lot more of that exercise and actually extend it to maybe 20 minutes. So that's an example of someone who's in their senior years.
And Samson, do you think all illnesses can be prevented?
That is a question that no one can answer, in my opinion, because if you look at what we're going through today, we've helped prevent a lot of illnesses, we've helped treat a lot of diseases, but now we've got new diseases coming out like SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus, or the people call it COVID-19 as well. And this is a virus that people haven't been able to prevent yet, this kind of a virus. But lots of things have been stopped and prevented, like different types of flu, maybe certain types of cancer as well. But I think it's a very challenging activity, and I think scientists really need to look more into what causes diseases.
Okay, and my last question, do you think there will be less illness in the future?
That is something that I find very hard to answer if I think about it just for 1 minute or a few seconds. But I think there'll still be a lot of diseases in the future, because if you look like I said in the previous question, what's happening now is that we've managed to prevent a lot of diseases. We've helped treat a lot of horrible illnesses, but then you've got the new ones coming about, and diseases, they have this ability to mutate, and it's very hard for scientists and doctors to keep up with. So I don't think we will be able to prevent all diseases in the future, if I'm going to answer your question, frankly.
Okay, thank you very much. We're done with your questions now.
Thank you.
Great, so let's see what Samson did.
What did I do?
Samson, I love the range of vocabulary you have in your speaking. You can learn a lot from Samson here because...
She's too kind.
Oh, no.
I'm
just being honest, because he uses a number of different collocations and vocabulary.
So do you.
Thank you. Related to the topic. And he never stops. Like even if he doesn't have any idea about the question I'm asking him to talk about, he doesn't stop. He uses some boosters related to, like, for example, I don't know how to answer this question. This is a question nobody can answer. Like, for example, number...
Which one was it?
3.
Yeah, I did that.
Do you think all illnesses can be prevented? Okay. He was like, no one can answer this question. But he didn't stop by saying, I don't know. Then he just gave me another example, more examples. He went a little off the topic.
A little bit off topic, but into the idea. That's just another way you can get through these questions. Just keep the conversation going, because it is a back and forth conversation if we're talking about Part 3 IELTS speaking.
And about question number 2, I asked you, do elderly people do much exercise in your country? He was like, yes or no. He was not really sure about the answer.
Sure.
Then he just referred to a good example of his
father-in-law, that's right, yeah.
So he explained a little about his father-in-law, and then he kept talking about something a little more related to the question here.
That's right.
So that was really good.
I did my best.
Also, you can use complex structures just like Samson. Like he makes some long but correct sentences. As you know, complex grammatical structure is not only about long and complicated sentences which are incorrect, but you should instead be able to make and use them accurately.
Use them accurately. Yeah. And the best way you could do that, in my opinion, is just I wasn't rushing too much, if you noticed. I was comfortable with what I was talking about, but the slower you go, not too slow, because you have to be fluent and
you're
coherent.
a native speaker, you can manage to speak fast, but everyone should be careful.
Don't rush.
Yeah, don't rush, don't speak very fast, because you will lose your confidence and
you'll fall about all over the place. You don't want to fall off the rails. Just imagine yourself when you're talking that you're a train on these rails. You want to keep it smooth. You don't want to just waddle here and there back and forth. You want to stay smooth. Keep the conversation going, but smooth.
Yeah, so you should be careful with your structure. Try to use some conditional sentences, relative clause, compound sentences, and all these different structures.
And try to speak up. If you speak loudly, you're less likely to be stressed, and you'll make less pronunciation problems. So,
yes, that's right. That was just great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I hope you have learned a lot from our today's game. Game. And
would you like to go next?
Okay, I just wanted to say goodbye, and I don't want to go with the next topic, but yeah, I have to, right?
You do have to. You're not getting out of this one. Yes.
So, let's see.
Go ahead. Just pick any random envelope in that box.
I hope.
You're not getting out of this one.
The topic is familiar.
This game can't be one. It has to be two-way, this game. Okay.
Work.
Work? Do you want to
I
talk?
love my job, but I don't like to talk about work.
Who does? So you want to skip the topic?
Should I?
Oh, well, if you insist. If you don't want to talk.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about this one, Samson. Do you have a personal question for me here?
Oh, I do. I've got to come up with a personal question. This is my favorite part of this game, actually.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you're ready. So,
You know what, Samson? I don't think I can stand another personal question.
yeah, it's too embarrassing.
I just
isn't
want
it?
to keep everything personal and private in my life, so.
Okay, well, managed to.
Do you have another
point there.
penalty for me?
Yes, I do actually. Well, you know what? You can just give me a mock test.
Oh, just like what I did to you.
Just like what you did. Yes, you can have a mock test with me. Why not?
Okay.
It's also going to help our candidates. What do you think?
Yeah, it would help them because they can learn what they can do in part 1, 2, and 3. That's much better than the answer to a personal
I
question,
think so.
right?
Right now we've got a win-win-win situation. So
Okay.
here we go. In that case, I guess we're done here.
Yes, we are.
But just before we go, guys, remember, subscribe, like our YouTube channel. Get involved with us and write in the comments section what you would like to see and how excited you are to see these mock tests between 2 IELTS instructors.
Yes, and in the next video, which is going to be our last video on part 3, we are going to work on some more topics, some more questions.
That's right.
And you will learn a lot. I'm not sure if we are going to skip a topic. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen.
We'll
but
try not to skip any
see.
topics. We'll
Maybe
see what
if
happens.
you just don't miss the next video, you can see what happens in the next one.
So stay with us. We are Ross IELTS Academy and see you next time.
See you soon.